I'm Rob Licuria, senior editor at Gold Derby here with Tony Revolori. Um, Mate, nearly 35 years ago, the original Willow came out. You weren't even born yet. I was 10. But I know you're a fan of the film. You've said that in a bunch of interviews, so we don't have to go down that road, but I'm more curious actually, to be honest. You get the role. Do you recall that moment and what was going through your mind?
I do. It was a strange decision in point in my career where I just finished doing the Spider-Man franchise, or was nearing the end of that. And so the idea of jumping back into another kind of big franchise was a little daunting, because I know how exhausting they can be, but this is something that I've grown up with and that I loved as a kid. So I thought I owe it to myself and to my childhood to do it. And beyond that, it was a great role, and it was a fun script. And I thought, while I'm still young, why not play the young roles? Because I won't stay young forever. So why not keep at it? And so, yeah, then it just became even more exciting as I kind of let myself fall into the world and fall into this series and kind of go down the road with the creative teams, figuring out characters and story arcs and things like that. And then, I don't regret it in the slightest.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine, like, you're at this time in your career where the choices you make are super important because, it's going to impact what you do later. And you could be like, maybe I need to do a whole bunch of indie films and then just kind of struggle a little, or maybe I'll do a huge Disney epic drama. I'm glad you chose it. Like, you can do both. It doesn't have to be binary. So,
Yeah, no, of
yeah.
course.
And I guess that's all going through your mind. But to do something that is so important to you from your childhood, I can't imagine how that would feel. So then what happens when you get on set and you're surrounded by this fantastical world and you're in costume and you've got horses and all that stuff? I mean, I don't know what that's like, to be honest. It's a completely foreign thing to me. So what's that like actually for you?
It's surreal. And I apologize about the planes. For whatever reason, they love flying
It's
over
like,
my house. But um, it is extremely surreal. You don't realize, oh my God, I'm actually doing this. I have to get on a horse. I have to swing a sword. And, it is make believe. And I'm sure everyone hopefully has done it as kids, where you pick up a stick and you pretend it's a sword. You're a knight, you're a samurai, or whatever it might be. And it's kind of living out your imagination, but in real life. So it makes it feel almost intrusive, almost, like it shouldn't be done, because, well, that's my imagination. Why is this now being real? So it's incredible, but it is a little bit jarring. And especially, this creative team, they were so lovely, and John Kasdan, Max Taylor, and all of them, that when we were on set, with props and ideas for characters and this and that, they really kind of let us find our characters. And in doing so, it felt even more so like I was living out my fantasy of, being the guy with the knives or the sword, or running away, riding the horses, cool costumes and thoughts. And everyone was so collaborative with that it just felt surreal. And I enjoyed every second of it. The great thing is, a lot of my co-stars this was their first kind of time doing something in this genre. So, and some first projects ever. So we were all kind of going through it together. And albeit I've been in big scale things, but fantasy is just a different scale. You got the candle lightings, and it's a different way of doing things. And I think the scale didn't scare me or make me nervous. Having done it in not only the Spider-Man franchise, but someone like Wes Anderson likes to make his sets the way he wants to make his sets. So the thing that was like really daunting to me was the fantasy element. actually being at the top of a Welsh mountain for 5 weeks shooting, this epic battle in the rain, and thinking to myself, wow, I used to watch these scenes and always imagine myself in them. Now I'm doing it. It sucks because I'm wet constantly, but but it's gonna look so cool.
Yeah. I can't even imagine stepping out of the reality in your brain to something that you're actually doing. You're seeing how the sausage is made, but it's still so exciting. And you know what? Like apart from Joanne and Worry and a couple others who have been working for a long time, you're probably one of the people on set who was a bit more experienced, like there's a lot of really young new actors in the ensemble. You've done Spider-Man, Grand Budapest, so you kind of have done some of the bigger projects before. So what was that like watching people, find their voice on a new project like this that you maybe had already done in previous projects?
It was really fun. It kind of brought me back to this mentality that I had. I remember making the first Spider-Man movie and Grand Budapest, and the excitement and naivety is the wrong word, but just like, unbridled, unjaded joy that is had, and having been in this industry now for 24 years,
Unbelievable.
You learn some stuff and you kind of grow from it and you get a little bit of callous, and seeing them walk into it made me remember how fun this could be, not only for the people making it, but or for the people watching it, but for the people making it. And they were incredible, and all of them are extremely talented, my younger co-stars. And to be fair, it's not like, I have a bit more experience than some of them. But I didn't really feel the need to give them advice because they all got great heads on their shoulders, and they were very sweet, very kind and generous with not only performances but in general. And so the odd little maybe camera trick that I've learned here and there, I would be like, hey, just so you know, like when they say this, that means that, or in terms of like hitting your marks and little things that help me memorize lines or whatever. But any actor could say that to anyone. They were incredibly professional, and I had such a blast making it with them. But I did kind of feel like the old one on set. I kind of felt like I was like, oh yeah, I've done these kind of things before. Oh, look at the crane. Yeah, I see the crane shot. I'll leave it to the double.
It's right. You're already like a veteran, man. Like you have, I wanted you to bring that up. You've been working for a really like long time. People, I think you have a, if you don't mind me saying, you have a really youthful appearance. You look very fresh. And so people think, oh, you've just started a couple of years ago. No, man, you've been around for ages. And you're finally like, people are realizing that. It's kind of cool. I think it's cool.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's great. Look, I think there's that stage where everyone kind of grows out of that childhood, body and facial structure and everything. And I think I'm like on my way out. But while I can still do it, there was an interview I saw years ago on like, YouTube or something like that of Leo DiCaprio, where they were asking him, are you tired of playing these kids' roles? And he's like, no, because I'm going to get older. And I mentioned it earlier in the interview. It's like, I am going to get older, and then I will have to play those roles, and I'll never be able to play the kid again, barring some really amazing script where I am an adult playing a child, like a Billy Madison situation. That'll be gone for me. So I'm just trying to enjoy it while I can, and also still make fun things, of course.
Yeah, that's it. You're embracing it, and it's getting you some great work. Like it also intrigues me, the physicality of the role of anyone on a show like Willow. I assume you had to do a lot of training to ensure you were fit for purpose. What was all of that prep like?
Yeah, so we had about a month boot camp,
Really?
where we learned how to like ride horses, stunt training, sword play, and then PT. And we had a amazing personal trainer who was with us throughout the run of the series. Um, you know, I think some of the male co-stars and including myself, we all had this like idea that we wanted to get super jacked and ripped and stuff like that. And yeah, and you know what, Ummer and Dempsey, my two of my co-stars, they did, and they were amazing, and they were stacked, and I did well for myself. I realized very early on that I have prosthetics on my chest, and
Yes.
so anything I did, you couldn't see underneath. So I was like, oh, then but it was still just fun to go to the gym every day and kind of feel good, look good. And our trainer, Matt Boeing, made sure to make it like fun for us. We would do like Nerf battles, and we would warm up doing VR, like physical VR games. It was fun. But without it, I wouldn't have survived, because, I got a big fur coat that's about maybe 70 pounds on top of my
Yeah.
already clothes that I'm riding a horse in, and I have swords, and it's a very physical genre. And doing it the entire 9 months was extremely grueling, and without that kind of physical training, I don't think I would have been able to do it. And so
No.
I'm so grateful for them to have the wherewithal to give us that opportunity to, learn how to ride the horses, and not just do it all in,
Yeah.
the last week and go, you got to get fit. Um,
Put the donut down, you need to get fit. But it's true,
yeah,
like I'm amazed that a show, like we're not talking about 22 episodes. It's not a long series, but the fact that you're filming for such a massive period of the year, like it's a huge
yeah,
undertaking. You're living and breathing Willow for such a long time. When it's over and done with, I wonder, and you've had this in other projects too, I assume, when it's over and done with, how long does it take for you to kind of shed that out of your DNA, and do you miss it? What's it like when you're on a project for such a long time?
there's differences, and like Willow went for such a long time for also COVID related reasons, which was very difficult for us because we were shooting at the height of the pandemic, um, which is again very difficult. And then you hear someone's getting COVID, and then you shut down that day, and then you bring back whoever didn't and it was constantly shifting and changing what we were doing. But regardless, it was such a long time, and I'd been doing projects like that, and I think for the usual thing, it takes me about 3 weeks to like, you still text the cast, you're still making jokes, and that continues throughout. But like, when you're on set, you probably text them and see them every day. And that kind of fades off as you all go about your lives. With Willow, I think we were there for such a long time, and we were constantly with each other. And mind you, we all adore each other, but I think we got like a little bit gassed with each other, and we were like, okay, I just need disappear. At least that's how I felt, after the series. After such a long time, I had gone from shooting Spider-Man 3 to season 3 of Servant straight into Willow. I was gone for more than a year. So when I was finished with Willow, I was like, no, I'm I'm out.
Off
I'm
the
good. I'm
grid.
done. I'm out. And then
Yeah.
about 3 weeks later, I was like, okay, I miss everyone. And that's when I had that kind of grief period, if you will. And it wasn't anything against anyone. I was just
No, I get it.
unbelievably homesick that to a point that I'd never been before. And yeah, so like this one was way different than the other ones. Because sometimes you want to go immediately back if it's a short project or whatever. And I would love to go back for season 2 if the show is lucky enough to get one, and be a part of it, and join this cast and crew again. But it all kind of right after wrapping, I needed like a little bit of a break.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, to get off the grid and just kind of
Yeah.
yeah, I know what you mean. Fill up the tank. So why do you think fans are still excited about Willow after all these years? We've seen so much in our popular culture, right? And even these days, everything's bite-sized, instant gratification, frivolity on TikTok. Willow has endured. Why do you think it's such a classic?
I think it's two different things. One, it had the tone and kind of charm and comedy and almost meta-ness that we look for it in today. Which is why I think it was such a cult hit back in the day, where those people kind of found that and liked it and held on to it. And then the second thing was, it was such an inspiring story insofar as a hero can come from anywhere. It wasn't the prototypical white, tall, handsome swordsman who obviously the original one does have and was incredibly played by Val Kilmer. But, the hero of the story, and they mention it over and over, is Warwick Davis and Willow. And, I don't think there's been many films that kind of used someone like him in that regard. And so the idea that unlikely hero can come from anywhere just made people feel like it could be them. And then you have the jokes and the banter and the fun that they had, making fun and poking fun at their own genre, is I think why it endured. And again, I just think it was a little bit ahead of its time. So now that we're here, we're just continuing that on with, you got two people of color playing, different roles in the series. One is the prototypical like swordsman, gruff kind of guy. The other is me, who's a book smart nerd guy, and who's got a heart of gold and turns courageous and has got a great art. But and our white guy, our great swordsman white guy, is our damsel in distress, and we have three powerful women. So I think it's like all of these little things that we're carrying on, and it's the reason why I think it has endured for so long.
At
least that's my imagination.
100%, because the cliche is, if you see it, you can be it, right? And this show is doing that, and the film did it for a very long time too. And I want to see that on my TV and film screen. That's exactly what we want. My final question is this. I thought you were awesome in the Spider-Man trilogy as Flash. But Grand Budapest, like that lobby boy character, Zero Mustafa, is just gold. And I remember quite some time ago now, when it came out, it was a big hit on the award circuit. Obviously at Gold Derby, this is what we do.
I know, believe me, I was on there every day.
Yeah, like you were winning a bunch of accolades, like along the way. People were really responding to you and your performance. What was that experience like? So relatively kind of out of the blue, I suppose, for a film that did very well at the Oscars, and you were a big part of that.
It was a wonderful, wonderful journey. I didn't know what to expect. I'd never been a part of a big film like that, let alone a Oscar campaigning film. And so doing all the interviews, all the, campaign run of So What You Will, was so much fun, and it taught me a lot. And it gave me a lot of press stamina that I never imagined would be useful ever again, but somehow has been. And, I think I saw kind of taking, now when I look back on it, I see kind of like a macro viewpoint of kind of a younger Hollywood being ushered in. And I think it started, around that time with, myself and I believe Ellard, I can't remember his last name, Coltrane, I think, who was in Boyhood. And both of us constantly, I mean, we were in every award show together because it was him and I. If I didn't win it, he won it. And, we became super friendly on that tour. And he was so sweet, but like, it was him and I. Then I think the year before or after us, I can't remember, it was Beast of No Nation with Abraham Attah. And then you had Manchester by the Sea with Lucas Hedges and Timothy Chalamet, Call Me By Your Name. So I think there was like this kind of slow progression to for not only critics, but like voters and Hollywood to kind of recognize the new generation is kind of coming in. And I was happy to kind of be a part of that little shift. And now you have it constantly, and you don't like kind of bat an eye when a young actor or actress gets a nomination or wins or whatever it may be. So I'm excited, and I'm excited for where it goes next. You know, I'd love to do it again and throw myself into another campaign, because I feel like I know way more than I did before. I think I said all the wrong things before, but regardless, I had fun, and it was a good one to do it with, because Budapest, you know, there was no pressure from him. There was no, you know, this is what we're aiming for, this is what we need to do. It was just like, you know, we're here, we're doing it. There's no worries. If you can't make that one, don't make it. Go. And I remember, I think I had a birthday during one of the campaign screening interviews things, and he knew it was my birthday. So, you know, he said, actually it got canceled. It didn't get canceled. He just wanted me to have my day. And it was things like that like I never felt like I had to do anything. But of course I wanted to. So he let me like enjoy my day. And again, that is the kindness of Wes, which is why I think people always constantly go back to work with him again, or want to work with him in general. But regardless, I had the most fun, and I was constantly on Gold Derby. And mind you, I have one cousin who was on Gold Derby constantly with me and sending me the things, and then I got hooked, and I was like, damn it, this is not what I should do.
No, it's yeah, it's like a drug, mate. I'm so thrilled for you. I thought Willow is brilliant. I can't wait to see you in the next Wes Anderson one day soon. And thank you for your time.
Asteroid City in July 27th.
Can't
wait. Put that in right there.
Throw that plug out. All right, thank you, Tony. Appreciate your time.
Appreciate it. Thank you.